Art has been a part of Schiphol for years on end. Sometimes obvious, sometimes subtle, these works inspire the millions of travellers who visit our airport every year during their journeys, whether arriving or departing. The podcast series Art Moments Schiphol introduces you to the stories behind the artworks, guided by the creators themselves. Shall we? In this episode, artist Tom Claassen shares more about the two incredible sitting black snowmen.
Yeah, if people can accept it, you already did that. That they accept something is standing there on the street and it's not moving. And it's not a tree, it's not a car, it's not anything else. You haven't seen it before. And it's, yeah, well, in that sense it's weird, but it's not weird. It's being totally itself. I think then you are mirroring a person's entity, if you can reach that.
What's the longest you've ever had to wait at an airport? Do you remember your longest layover or maybe delayed departure? I think we can all remember a time we've been somewhat forced to wait patiently for the next leg of the journey. And isn't it a wonderful thing then? To plop down somewhere and sit. And doesn't it sometimes feel a bit silly? To be still and waiting in the hustle and bustle of Schiphol? Good thing you aren't waiting alone here. At this airport, there are two other figures, permanently plunked down. Maybe you've passed by them, or even taken a break, sitting on one of their legs. These two sizable guys are called the two incredible sitting black snowmen, and they were made by Dutch sculptor Tom Claassen.
Hi Schiphol, this is me, Tom Claassen. Happy to be here on the lovely podcast about my art piece, the sitting black snowman in the originally at the D pier gate, but now this lovely sitting, big fat benchy guys. Yeah, snowman.
At about 1.60 meters high and 2.20 meters deep, the two guys get a lot of attention. You can see exactly where passengers have passed by and touched them, which in their case is totally allowed. Like I said, you can even sit on one of their legs. The two welcome you in. When you touch them, the bronze surface feels smooth and soft. In several places, you can see the patina, the natural layer on the bronze that gives it that slightly darker color. And you can see where that patina has gone, and instead, a golden sheen has appeared. The two figures sit back to back, exact replicas of each other.
Because that's two for the price of one mold. That's a budgetarian thing, but also by using two identicals placed next to each other, you have the interspace. And we love interspace. We're totally nuts about space in between, because that's where philosophy comes. Looking around the corner, you know, where is the surface ending? Where is my outline? But we know we are in constant vibration, super speed vibration, and then we're filled with molecules, but we cannot feel the molecules.
They have been sitting at Schiphol since 2000, longest layover ever. They function as a meeting point and as a rest place. They provide a fascinating stillness in this dynamic environment, almost ironic, a complete contrast. Their sculptor, Claassen, is not really known for his human figures. Rather, Claassen is known for his sculptures of animals: rabbits, dogs, elephants, rats, frogs, horses, and many other animals. For a long time, depicting animals in sculpture was uncommon, not accepted. Abstraction and conceptual art was what art and sculptures were supposed to be, but Claassen did not care.
My art can also be seen as ironizations of this weird attitude to put something anywhere. So by using this figuration, it's also like, you know, mimicking the old figuration of the, well, art doesn't exist on the street as a fact, only in these days. In the old days, it was illustration of emperors or a dog or whatever, or a working person. And it had much more political and social function that it had to be admired as such, as to please to the eye and to the sense of understanding this weird manifestation of space in front of you. So I'm very meta. For me, it was like a protest, an anti-capitalistic, anti-consumeristic sense of happiness. You can protest also in a sweet way. You don't have to kick ass all the time with a big pointy boot. You can also use a soft brush.
All his works have a strong and iconic character. You won't forget them. Perhaps his work is so unforgettable because the shapes of his subjects are quite abstract. And because of that, you are allowed to freely make your own personal interpretations. He gives both you, as the viewer, and the sculpture itself autonomy to just be, to exist. Like his animals, our stationary two men also provoke a certain approachability. This is no accident. To Claassen, each sculpture is always searching and questioning the space it can occupy. A good shape legitimizes its own size, he believes. A successful shape evokes temptation. And, by now, numerous Dutch cities have an animal by the artist in public spaces. His herd of 5 elephants along the A6 highway near Almere in the Netherlands is probably his most widely seen and well-known work.
Well, as a sculpturist, you try to understand the total surface of the manifestation in front of you, and by, for example, rotating stuff, like in a car crash, where you because of the crash, after the crash, the object has put itself in another position. You suddenly can look at the bottom, at the bottom of the wheels, or at the side, or with the 5 elephants, you have 1 elephant, all identical, no family, just elephants, like trucks, Scania, Volvo, one type, but it's like in a movie. You can see in one shot them from all sides, not upside down and topside this and that, but just that, and then this is copying the motion of the car and circling it, because these are placed in a loopish motorway junction, and I think that works, and it evokes greed, because you want to be there, but you can't stop, because then you get a fine. So it's pestering. That's good. So it's, you create a need or a greed or a love. Yeah, love. So it's all about combining surface areas, trying to make beautiness.
Have you ever had to sculpt and build something? Like maybe back in school, out of clay or cardboard? Where does one even begin to make such massive sculptures?
I was very much into playing with blocks, and we had a mechano box, big one, a huge mechano box, and then my dad did make some cranes every now and then, not much, and I had a little, a train, a push-yourself train, plastic stuff. I always was looking at the magazines about real model Märklin trains. This model world was very fascinating. How houses with light in it, and you could actually made it yourself. I had a lighting kit for my CO montage. That's big wooden mechano for the younger ones, and and then in the evening you switched it on, and then you had this orange light or a blue light or a green light. I was happy. Very happy. I'm playing on my own a lot of time, so not a sporty guy. In art school, a lot of it was also financially driven. But we worked a lot with hardboard and board as such. And I developed sort of a technique in which you could glue the edges of board together in a curve. So that made me very happy, and I learned to be patient, because on the inside you should grind small blocks of polystyrene into the right shape to have this firmness of that connection. But we had no clue what to make out of it, because we were making lots of lookalike art, of course, and then the teachers asked, "Why are you doing that?" And I didn't know.
Claassen formed these two enormous bronze sculptures with a very common material, styrofoam, also called polystyrene.
I did have some polystyrene laying around, and then first you have to choose the size, how big it shall be, and because I wanted it to be that size, don't know why, but that's just to be bigger than what a normal person can be, and also in this dimensioning, it sort of relates to chairs, furniture also somehow. Also, I wanted the feet to have a specific height so you could sit on it, just for the fun. In that sense, this is Beeldhouwer, the sitting man, because it's mimicking leather or diver suits or rubber and molds, and but also benches and Buddha image and a nose and hair, and it even has some sort of a weird belly button. It's a fat one. They are fat ones, and it's just a trick by copy. It's a sense of copying of material aspects, how they represent them as that you know them, like you know from benches and sofas, and for example Chesterfield sofas, you know it very well that they have all these buttons all over the place, and by these buttons you get all this shapy in-between spaces, and using that in stone, for example, or in polystyrene, where these were made from originally. I didn't do that because it's too meticulous, and then it's getting silly, because we don't want silly.
Claassen is someone who thinks in form and shape. He's someone who explores spaces and how we all inhabit them. As much as these two sculptures invite you to sit with them or pass by and give them a pat, they also ask us a question of existence. What is it like to just be, to exist? Where does Claassen take inspiration from? How does he build this softness into something hard? Well, he's a father of two.
Yes, well, when you're yourself sculpting, like shaping, and then these were shaped with a steel brush and a comb steel brush on an angle grinder, and then there's lots of polystyrene in the air flying around, but you take off material, so you don't want to take too much off, but you also want to create a shape, a sweet shape, and then you have had that baby boy look at his hands or his the head, and then hands. Yeah, it's a composition, and with baby hands, it's nicer.
Any other inspirations?
I also made a rat once that way, out of rubber, and then I had a lot of polystyrene. And then I had a guy hammering all this polystyrene into small pieces because a lot of it was blocks. and then this rat was sewn together, and then we had to push it through the window to get it into the truck. But it's like 6 meters. Yeah, and then I called it after my sister, Brigitte.
Works of art are a way of understanding reality, because its reflections lead to essential insights on being human. Try it. If you're wandering around right now, stand still. Take a breath. Observe yourself in this space? Are you sitting? Standing? Who's moving around you? Who isn't? What space are you taking up right now? Schiphol Airport is a unique place where between arrivals and departures, one waits. Luckily, never alone. You'll be joining these two incredible sitting black snowmen. Thank you for tuning into this episode of Art Moments Schiphol. Make sure to keep your eyes peeled as you move through the terminals. Schiphol Airport is filled to the brim with exciting sculptures, paintings, and mixed media artworks. If you're hopping on a plane, I wish you a safe journey. If you're tuning in from home, make sure to listen to other episodes of Art Moments Schiphol. Thank you for joining me.